Professor Mercurius, we've got news that you've said unkind words to a nonce. You're hereby under arrest for violating YouTube's terms of service. Well, that went better than I expected. I had to go through all of the makeup, and I'm pretty sure most of my limbs will not go back to the way they should be, but it worked out for the best. I fell back on my oldest and most basic of instincts of, when in doubt, impersonate StooDogg and hope that gets me out of the situation. Thanks to my handy-dandy disguise kit, I was able to pull off a fantastic transformation, and I am now the spitting image of StooDogg. You know, minus one or two little differences. Sure, no one will notice. Anyway, given that Watch Dogs often talks about TOS and policies on the site, as well as things that are going on, I thought I'd give an account of my personal history, and maybe serve as a cautionary tale for those of you who could risk going down the wrong path. A path of cheating, lying, stealing the visage of others to try and convince the world that you are an honest citizen, and being banned from civilizations that mostly consist of ant people. Yes, this will indeed be fun. So my first strike, believe it or not, was for hate speech. How do I get a strike for hate speech? By making fun of a homophobic dog rapist by pointing out that being a dog rapist and homophobic is more than a little ridiculous. I got my warning strike for that, which means, yes, we're letting you off this time, but be good. I contested this, but they did not budge, apparently making fun of a homophobe by making a caricature of that homophobe is homophobia? I don't quite understand. The second strike involves a back and forth with a rancid individual who I will not name because if I name him I might summon him. He's like some annoying demon who once he appears you can't really get rid of him very easily. Anyway, this individual made himself known to me by more or less being a pest and harassing several people who I actually like. Several people who are actually friends of this channel as well, such as Lulu Bieberful and Wannabe the Pirate, both of which are great content creators and very nice people. So this guy takes it upon himself to basically insult them and harass them in his comment section. After several months, he finds his way back to my domain, to which he decides that after meeting me for the first time, the best thing he can do is dig up my old Stetson Hardwick video that I made almost 2 years before at that point in time and make a unwanted and unneeded video response to it. Now, there isn't a time limit when it comes to video responses, but given that that video was about a presidential campaign for the 2020 election, and the 2020 election had long since been and gone, there was no reason to do it other than to be a pest. I countered all of his points, and I pointed out that he's a piece of shit for what he did a few years ago. I'm not letting him forget it, and I'm not going to forget it either. We had a back and forth for the best part of a week before he decided, no, he's gonna basically pull out one of the dirtiest tricks I've seen from one of these people, which is basically wait until part 3 of a back and forth to flag everything that was said. Obviously, when a debate gets a little more heated, because he's throwing allegations and I'm pointing things out that he said, apparently that is when YouTube suddenly are given not the full picture, but a picture. And YouTube being YouTube just take one look at my video and say, oh, that's the whole story. Right, that's it, he's being a harasser and a bully. So that was my first strike last year that was actually damaging to my channel. I had to wait a wee while for basically another shot at the whole back and forth. I did everything else from that point onwards in regards to this individual on Odyssey and BitChute. However, one of the videos I made on BitChute was apparently quote-unquote too based for BitChute, and apparently that video got removed. To be fair, I at least understand that one, but that was long after civility had gone out the window. So strike number 2 came because I apparently gave as good as I got from someone who made it his mission to be a toxic little shit on this website. But apparently I'm the problem. Bearing in mind this individual who did not receive any strikes or problems at that moment in time had several playlists where he saved videos of little boys, a lot of them not in dress, for his own viewing pleasure and even labelled it as such. YouTube was shown this and did nothing. Because of course I was the bigger problem. Strike number 3 is the only one of these where they actually listened when I contested it. Basically one of my videos about Dustin Nunn, who is a washed up comic book creator from about 10 years ago, seemingly made a series of response videos to a video in which I highlighted him as an example of people who use disabilities as an excuse to be awful people and thus stigmatize all disabled people. This was a weird one. Apparently my video was flagged for hate speech despite the fact that my video was being very critical of Dustin's opinions on the LGBT, which are very hateful and not much else. He's not even constructively hateful either. He just says random things that he parrots either from the Bible or from his dad. There's not really much wisdom to be shared or any real thought going into what he's doing. As a result, I saw it more than adequate to sit through his video and say, yes, everything this guy is saying is complete shit. This somehow earned me a strike for hate speech? My guess is that they thought that what Dustin was saying in the video was me being hateful because they thought I was Dustin, and I think I cleared that up, but I didn't get a real explanation. I got a Kunari, "We will not speak of this again" from YouTube, and that was about it. So yeah, at least that one got cleared up, but I'm still gonna mention it. Strike 4 was probably the most infuriating of them. When I was browsing Instagram, I found out that one of the sponsored ads on the site was a deepfake app ad that basically used an actress who in the photograph was less younger than 18, definitely. I don't know how old she was, but I swear she wasn't even 16 in the photo. And they deepfaked her onto adult actresses. This apparently was something that was more or less condoned by Instagram, and they actually had it as a front page advertisement. Except me pointing this out actually got me in trouble with YouTube. Apparently, me pointing out that this app exists on a website where children upload their own pictures every day, and that is a bit of a problem. And bearing in mind, I did condemn this being a thing wholeheartedly multiple times throughout the video. Apparently this endangered children. The app being there doesn't, and neither does anything else. I am the catalyst of all this. Me mentioning it apparently just makes the problem, and the second that they snuff out my video pointing out that this is a problem, the problem's gone. I was quite serious about contesting this one because it did frustrate me greatly, and I came to the conclusion that YouTube just wants to protect these. Well, I don't know. I think they want to protect the app and, well, a number of other people. I think the app might also have a sponsorship on YouTube as well. I have ads turned off, but given that they're on Facebook and Instagram, it wouldn't surprise me if they were a sponsor of YouTube. It would not surprise me in the slightest if YouTube killed that video because they were worried that one of their sponsors might look bad. They've also defended child predators at several points, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was the other angle they were going for. Regardless, to this day I contest that there is nothing truthful about the idea that pointing out to parents and kids, hey, you know that video website and picture website where you upload your face every 5 minutes? Yeah, you know that people are now collecting those pictures and using them for deepfakes, right? Well, regardless, it got me another strike. I've only been a dog for 13 minutes and I've already got fucking worms. This one is the only strike I think I will cop to. Basically, I uploaded an old archived video of a woman named Niece Lone Wolf. For those of you who have never heard of her, you are lucky. She basically goes on the internet and rants and screams all day, not really having any real point to what she's doing. She's a serial harasser, a catfisher, a stalker, and quite frankly, she has a lot of skeletons in her closet, many of which are lost to time. However, this woman has a very long online history. She's almost as bad as Jared was, who was featured on this channel before. Anyway, because Niece has a bit of a habit of making a lot of videos and then deleting them and pretending none of it ever happened, I decided to archive a few of them for an up-and-coming stream that one of my friends was making, and eventually I got involved with it as well. Turned out that archive video was still around and I forgot that it was there. Apparently, even though it was unlisted and nobody has any possibility of seeing it, YouTube saw it as an affront to their platform. Now, I do understand that Niece's behaviour is erratic and crazy, and in all honesty, yes, if I don't remember what was in the video, but if it violated TOS, it's fair enough that me being the uploader gets a strike. But there's two things that really frustrate me. The first is that Niece's channel is still up and none of her videos, some of which are worse than that one, are still there and there's no problem. Her community tab posts which tell a specific homeless woman in LA to take her own life every day is apparently still kosher as far as YouTube goes, but a historic video that's archived that's not even in public viewing is apparently what YouTube takes action towards. It's really stupid and it does my head in. Hell, at the start of this year, Niece Lone Wolf accused me of, well, a load of bullshit, basically in a place where I could not have been. And a bunch of people who were there at the time all said, he did not do this, it's not possible because he wasn't there. And this is the level of fucking crazy this woman is. And yet for some reason, YouTube takes umbrage with my archiving of this shit and not the shit happening in real time, or even the shit that's months old that is still on her channel. This woman's leaked people's bank info. She's broken not only terms of service but laws in her own country multiple times in her internet tenure. She lies about people constantly, she's aggressive, and she has threatened several people with violence. But none of this is a problem. I'm the problem. And this is where I'm probably going to leave off in my conclusion. I have come close to the headsman's axe quite a few times, and I'm not entirely sure why. I am far from the most controversial of people. I avoid saying controversial statements, even if I feel they need to be said, because I don't want this to happen, and yet it keeps happening anyway. For a start, I genuinely am frustrated at the fact that I have seen so many awful things over the past 3 years, ranging from children being doxxed, people's bank information being public knowledge because they just get leaked on the platform and nobody does anything to stop it, people's home addresses being leaked, and then underneath there are descriptors and comments saying, hey, I want Islamic extremists to attack this person for reasons that I can't even fathom. I've seen that shit happen, and YouTube doesn't seem to care. I've seen senior citizens get doxxed by actual predators who are now in prison, but YouTube doesn't care. I've seen so much awful shit, a lot of which is stuff that I've apparently gotten in trouble for, despite the fact that stuff I've done isn't even close. A lot of it doesn't even fall under what YouTube says it is, and the few cases where it kind of is don't hold a candle to the shit that a lot of other people are doing. I get that everyone should be managing their own backyard, but it's frustrating as all shit when I'm getting penalised because my lawn isn't green enough and my neighbour's lawn is looking like a goddamn trench from World War One. I mean, you can probably see my frustration. YouTube as a platform has become a place where a lot of people who are just trying to be honest and just trying to make real content are really struggling to stay alive. I have to justify my existence whilst I'm constantly seeing people who are behaving like absolute animals with impunity. YouTube doesn't seem to notice or care, even when it's brought directly to their attention, but for some reason they can always find time to fuck me over every few months, or fuck over someone like Harry Moody Reactions, a guy who just made reaction videos and then just got his channel canned after many years of hard work. He actually gave up on YouTube and never touched the platform again. Hell, StooDogg, the guy whose channel I've hijacked, was almost a heartbeat away from losing all of his work over the course of nearly a decade because he had some links in his channel description which were put forward by YouTube as a partnered platform, or at least a linked platform, and for some reason his whole channel is at risk because of this. Whereas this prick can ogle little boys openly on his community tab and YouTube doesn't take that as an issue. And it's baffling to me. It's baffling where the priorities lie. It's baffling. I wanted to make this funnier, I did, but like, how do you make something like this funny? It's disgusting. People are just trying to make content that's actually enjoyable and actually interesting and challenging. And then they get constantly flagged down and screwed over. Whilst the things they're claiming they're trying to stop are rampant throughout the entire website. People trying to talk about depression and taking one's own life are hounded with all kinds of restrictions, even flagged off of the platform for their use of the dreaded S word. Whilst you get scumbags like Nice constantly telling mentally vulnerable people to off themselves on a near daily basis. And YouTube doesn't see that as an issue. A lot of people are hoping that Susan Wojcicki stepping down from the platform would save the platform. I'm not sure it will. I don't think it's going to get better. I think there's something dark at the heart of this platform, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I think the swamp needs to be drained, and then carpet bombed, and then nuked. And then we can sift through the ashes and find what's left. Because quite frankly, we've reached a point now where it's actually gotten a lot harder to be a decent human being on this platform than it is to be a rampant awful person. Awful people just keep coming back time and time again, and your investment is punished on this site, whereas making burner account after another, or just one after another endlessly, constantly getting banned or blocked by everyone, is apparently the way to go because nobody seems to stop you from doing that. There's nothing to stop that, and if you lose a burner account, oh well, it's only been there for a week, I could get it all back in an hour, whereas all these other channels, they've been around for years. If they lose what they've made, they've lost a lot more than just a couple of videos. They could have potentially have lost lots of comments from people who aren't around anymore, people who have died, people who are, in all honesty, very special to them and they enjoy getting comments from them. And quite frankly, I find that a disturbing thought. The idea that this website's greatest leverage is that anyone who had the stupidity to invest in it is now being heavily penalised and is at the mercy of a bunch of disgusting, despicable trolls who honestly belong in prison. To sum up, I feel like YouTube's guidelines and the way they're moderated and the way that they are seen really needs a brush up and a review. I feel like a lot of the rules, like the hate speech rules, are actually used more in favour of censorship than protecting people from hate speech. I get that the point of it is censorship, to protect people from hate speech in general. But the problem is, I see a lot of hate speech, but I also see a lot of people being censored under the guise of hate speech who are not hateful people and are not saying hateful things. I'm also seeing varying cases where people use the privacy tools to protect their own privacy who are not eligible to do so. Whilst these are just complaints and aren't actual strikes against your channel, it is very annoying to make a video about a particular person, that person doesn't like the video, and decides that you using video footage from their own YouTube channel, which is public, is apparently not allowed. Same goes for people who deleted videos and then don't want them to appear again on the platform because they just don't want to be held accountable for it. And I'm also sick and tired of YouTube constantly telling everyone you're harassing and bullying, whilst the people they're supposedly harassing and bullying are constantly trying to find ways to get back into contact with their bullies and harassers. It doesn't make sense to me. Wouldn't you, try to get away from someone who's so awful you have to get a third party to protect you? But no, they get the third party to protect them, they do their bit, then after they leave, they go back to being an antagonistic little pest again, and YouTube only ever seems to care when they cry wolf. But it's like the boy who cried wolf, if every time the boy cried wolf, the wolves got bloody burnt at the stake for daring to attack the little boy even if they weren't even in the area, or they attack him because he was throwing stones at them. I honestly wasn't sure if I could do a video like this and make it lighthearted and fun. I've reached a bit of a crossroads when it comes to this sort of thing, where I'm almost tempted to just stop entirely. It is frustrating. Instead of thinking about what I want to do next video-wise, I'm thinking, oh god, I hope I don't wake up tomorrow and find out that something that I made about a year ago is suddenly the worst form of hate speech or child endangerment because I dared to say a keyword, or I dared to have this thing in my video, or that some guy who's constantly flagging it on a near daily basis is going to get through to YouTube in the end and get his way. It honestly does my head in as well that when you point out that someone's false flagging content to YouTube, their response is basically, trust in the system. It will always show you the way. Despite the fact we all know that's bullshit and it never ever does. To conclude, I hate this platform. It does my head in.
To conclude, and it's a bit of an odd one, but I just find myself at a crossroads as to whether or not I want to continue on the site at all. I find this site to be dishonest and disingenuous and very, very frustrating to work with. And short of removing a bunch of my own old content and more or less pretending none of it happened, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to do that because there's some great memories attached to that, and there's some great comments from people I respect praising my work. I don't want to lose that for the sake of being allowed to exist. It annoys me that I have to choose between my channel's history and its continued existence. It's annoying to me that I have to justify myself every few months, whilst there are people out there who should not be on the internet who just continue with impunity. The frustration of it has no end, and I cannot even fathom how anyone can think running a website this way is a good idea, or how anyone can see that the website's being run this way and not think this needs fixing. I'm honestly hoping that YouTube getting a new CEO will maybe change some things for the better, but in all honesty, I don't think it will. I think it's going to get worse. I think it's going to get a lot worse. I don't miss Susan, and I don't think I ever will, but as far as I'm concerned, YouTube where it's going is just unusable for anyone with anything that's not a TikTok dance. And hell, my mate Lou, who does TikTok stuff, has had several instances where she's received these kind of stupid strikes on TikTok. So yeah, maybe it's just going to be a case where one day we'll just be dancing for views and hoping that we don't get flagged down for hate speech. Anyway, this was my first attempt at a Watch Dogs video. I'm hoping that it fits the formula well enough. I should have some familiar music and edits based around it. I'm hoping anyway. I did really like this idea when StooDogg put it forward, and I'm hoping this was what he had in mind. If not, too late. Wow, look guys, now it's like the game Watch Dogs. I'm like an unlikable hipster hacker.
With sonar, the big problem with detection is interpreting the returning signals.
I can't see because these sunglasses are fucking steamed up. Like, my breath just steamed them up.
Professor Curious is a fucking spurg.